Ghoulies and ghosties, freshen up your frightening frock, practice your power pounce, and double-check that your health insurance covers blunt force injuries.
Because it's time to talk Tull to me.
Your blood is so succulent, oh so sugary, rot my cavity tooth.
Oh, where's the insulin?
Welcome back to Talk Tull to Me. I am Omen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together, we are Feckless Momes, and this is Talk Tull to Me. A night hunt in the dark corners of prog rock in which Nick and I, thirsty for man-flesh, will sink our teeth into the discography of succulent prog rock band Jethro Tull. Track by track, we will walk alongside the Barrymore Bugbears, ride on the back of the D. Palmer Dragon, cavort with the John Evan Elves, and if our nightmares fright us too much, we will crawl into the soft, protective bed of Daddy Anderson, who will comfort us.
Your flute's cold, Daddy Anderson.
Your cold flute hands bring me no comfort. Nick, welcome back.
Welcome back, Omen. Hi.
Hi. We have another exciting song to talk Tull to you about this week.
That's it. Everything off of Heavy Horses will most likely be an exciting song.
Where are we in Heavy Horses in the kind of geography of the album?
Track placement? Is that what you're thinking? We're only on...
That is what I'm thinking.
We're only on track 3.
Track 3.
Yep, we did Mouse Police, Acres Wild, now No Lullaby. So it is smack dab in the middle of side A.
Great.
There are 5 tracks, so we're right in the middle there.
I kind of wish this album could last forever.
Well, this song's pretty long, so...
This song lasts basically forever.
Yeah, it takes up the bulk of forever. Before we get into the song at hand, however, how about a little more lore, a couple of more quotes from Ian. Here we have a kind of an explanation of a few of the songs from the album itself.
Yeah, let's hear it.
From Ian. So we have the song about the conformist view of daily life with Journeyman. We have Ian's animals, his dog with Rover and his cat with Mouse Police.
We also have a reference to the dog in No Lullaby.
Ah, yes, right. And then No Lullaby is one for his new son, James, at the time.
That's right. Yeah, he called it an anti-lullaby, I believe.
It most certainly is. I think that's very safe to say. So this album itself, Heavy Horses, was another album that Ian wrote on the train passing between London and Buckinghamshire on his commute. In most cases, the songs were pretty much fully written before they went into the studio, but as is usually the case, some were tweaked and written based on the rehearsals from the day before. I can't imagine it would be as beautiful and amazing as it is if Ian just went in and said, "This is it. This is how it's going to go. We have no room, I just expect you to play these."
Yeah. One of the things I love about this album is that the lyrics and the concepts all feel very, concepts with a little c, all are very focused. Every song is very distinct. It's very well thought out. But musically, it does have a little bit of sense of play, a little bit of sense of push and pull to it.
And every musician on this album, in Tull at this time, for the last couple albums up until the next few albums, everyone in the personnel is some of the best musicians at their height. So why wouldn't you pick their brains?
Well, and this has been the longest period of consistent musicians maybe ever in Tull. They've gotten to keep the same bassist for a long time.
Yep.
And unfortunately, this is the last album that we have.
Nope, he's part of Stormwatch. He's part of Stormwatch. It toes the line because he was part of it. He didn't tour for it, but he did do some of the bass on it.
But everyone has been playing together for so long at this point that you really feel that sense of synergy, that sense of complicity between the musicians.
I would be curious to look at the numbers, however, of the most recent iteration or iterations, basically post-Martin, I think, when it was Ian and the Jethro Tull band, if you will.
Yeah.
I think that staff stuck around or has stuck around. I know they swapped in and out a little bit, but I think they've been pretty consistent. I may have to look into those numbers. We'll certainly look into them when we get there, but
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Jethro Tull the band. This is not Ian Anderson and Jethro Tull.
Correct.
So maybe a little bit of an explanation as to Ian's voice, maybe this Jack in the Green sounding voice, although it doesn't explain it for when he used it in Jack in the Green. But apparently Ian had a head cold for part of the session here.
Oh, for this song in particular?
For the recordings. I'm not sure where it fell in terms of when they were recording and what songs they were working on. Never mind, I take it all back. This is the Heavy Horses when he was recording. I know some people have a lot of affection for the title track, but when I was recording that, I had a stinker of a cold, and when I listened to the opening vocals in the quiet part of the song, I can hear the mucus and congestion going on through my nose.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like it was processed through something. Well, it was. In a way.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, and that's typical of Ian to listen to such an incredible, brilliant, iconic track and be like, my mucus.
Yeah, to remember, it must have been a real bummer for him to really remember that. And I wonder if he just remembers recording all of these iconic songs, regardless of the situation, or if this was such a difficult process for him with this head cold
I'm
that
sure
it kind of
that
like
made it
scarred
stick
him,
clearly in his memory for that
Yeah.
reason. But, it reminds me of the kind of the personality of a lot of great artists. I'm thinking of, as I often do, Charlie Chaplin, who at one point said something along the lines of, like, it's so, referring to his own films, he said, it's so frustrating to do something that approaches perfection, but can't ever be really, truly perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's just your greatest critic for most people.
Yeah, my greatest critic is Charlie Chaplin.
That's it. Yeah, I'm trying to get all of the hate mail before it gets to you, but he's a prolific writer. I have to
Call
say.
that an isolation?
Where's your mustache?
That walk isn't silly at all.
Pure comedy.
Oh, fantastic. Nick, anything else before we dive into the song?
No, nothing more. I think we can dive into No Lullaby for this week.
Let us dive.
Dave.
Nick McGill.
There it is. No lullaby.
No lullaby at all.
Not one. No, don't. If you came here expecting a lullaby, you will be sorely disappointed.
Go away. Yeah.
Just
Nick,
get out of here.
Off the bat, what are your personal feelings about this song?
This is the weakest song off of the album for me.
Wow. This has been Talk to Me. Come back next week. Wow.
Yeah. It's too long. It repeats the exact same thing. It's the same song twice. Could have stopped it. It would have been fine.
How many minutes long is it?
It's 8 minutes. It's literally 8 minutes, yeah. And I think this is the seed that gets nurtured into some of those really sweeping, gorgeous 8-minute long songs that we see further down the road in like Catfish and Crest,
Okay, interesting.
But I don't think there's enough in here to warrant it being so long.
Whew.
Also, look at the lineup of the rest of the songs on this album, and they're flawless.
Yeah.
And that is my biggest complaint about this. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good song, but when it's put up there on that pedestal of Heavy Horses, if I got to pick one that I don't like and that I skip after 5 minutes, it's this one.
How does it feel to be so wrong
I
about something?
I knew literally that's what you were going to say.
That's so fascinating that you feel this way about this song, because for me, I have a very different opinion. It's
You love this song, right?
I do love this song. I love this song musically. I love this song lyrically. I love it philosophically.
I love it romantically.
The length doesn't bother me.
But you've always loved this song. I remember you liking.
The length has never bothered me.
I knew it. I thought I got past it.
Nope.
Then we circled back.
Yep, there it is.
It's like you walk by a flower on the side of the road and you're like, oh, that's a pretty flower. And then you stop and you're like, wait a minute, I have to go back and look at that flower.
Yeah.
And we looked at that flower in the form of a penis joke.
So, Nick, what were you saying before I derailed us?
You've always liked this song. Even in high school, you really dug this song, didn't you?
Yeah. I trust your memory on that better than mine. But yes, I think I have always loved this song.
I seem to remember, because you are the one who first got Heavy Horses, so you got me into it.
Oh, okay.
So I remember, instead of like me sharing my opinions of benefit to you, you were sharing your opinions of Heavy Horses to me. What is it about this song that you really like? It's the adventure, isn't it? It's the Peter Pan nature.
Well, it's the content, definitely. I don't regard it as an adventure story. I really think it is a brilliant piece of philosophy.
Okay.
And I think it also has to do with the way that I was raised, that there is something that really connects, for me, this song really connects to specifically the way that my father treated me as a kid.
Yes, I can see that.
And even specifically some of the conversations that we would have around bedtime.
Can I get an example?
Sure. So
just like it doesn't have to be like.
No, I'm trying to pick. So, one example is, and I think I've told you this, my dad was tucking me in, I was like 6, 7. He said, which is your right hand? I said, this is my right hand. And he said, which is your left hand? I said, well, this is my left hand. And he said, well, how do you know that's your left and that's your right? And I was like, I couldn't come up with an explanation. I was like, well, I just know that this is the left and this is the right. And he said, if you can't articulate the difference between your right and your left, how can you articulate the difference between right and wrong? Turned out the lights, walked away. That was my bedtime story. And I spent the next hour just like in existential crisis.
Oh my gosh.
Another time.
Good night, Omen.
Good night. Also, I remember one time, similar age, I was going to bed and a very strange wasp got into my room and was flying around, and I was quite scared of it. And I, called out, and he came up, and I said, Dad, there's a wasp in my room. And he said, oh, that's this kind of wasp. You see its long proboscis? It uses that to plant its eggs deep into pieces of wood or in human skin, where they can then develop and the babies eat their way out. Good night!
Oh my God.
I was just like, what the
Your father is, and I mean this with every ounce of respect I have, your father's a bit psychotic.
He's a strange man, but no stranger than this song. So another example that really specifically relates to this song is, I remember when I was a bit older, I was going to go camping by myself for the first time, or maybe camping with a friend of mine. But it was like the first time camping without my parents. Mm-hmm. I was all packed up. I was about to go off into the woods. And I was like, all right, goodbye. I'm going to go and camp by myself because I'm a brave boy. And he was like, well, you might hear some peculiar sounds at night in the woods. And I was like, oh, really? He said, oh, yes. For instance, a deer huffing in the night sounds like this. And he made this terrifying set of sounds. And then he demonstrated all the other sounds that I might hear in the night that got increasingly horrific until he did the screech owl, which he just like is. If you've never heard a screech owl, it is the most demonic, crazy. It sounds like an axe murderer.
I want to also put up there on that category a rabbit dying.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's all just awfully terrifying.
A vixen, a female fox screeching.
Yeah.
Oh, also a mountain lion. Oh,
We don't have mountain lions in Mexico, New
we
York.
we don't, but their sound is it sounds like a woman screaming. It's terrifying.
We had a few cougars.
Women screaming.
Anyway, and then he was like, "All right, have fun." And I don't know if I made it through the night. I think I came home early. But the whole philosophy of like, okay, my society says that my role as a parent is to comfort you and tell you that everything is going to be all right.
Right.
But in actuality, everything is not going to be all right.
And I need to arm you for that.
It's better for me to scare you now and prepare you for the real world than to say, oh yes, everything's fine and like you'll never be in any danger, because that's just not true.
Right.
So that's what I really appreciate about this song is that, there is a level of kind of ridiculousness to it, but I think that it's a very responsible and stoic take on parenting.
That's why you like it so much.
That I genuinely believe in and that I experienced as a kid. And look how I turned out.
It's a warmer feeling than you got from your father. It's like being brushed with a plank of wood. Oh, thanks, Dad. That's very consoling. Thank you.
And now we have a very close relationship.
Yes. Yeah,
it's not like that kind of strange bedtime stories distanced me from him in the long run. Enough about my daddy. Let's talk about the lyrics. No, let's talk about the music of this song.
Talk about our music, Dad.
Because there's a lot of really fun stuff going on here.
Yes.
We'll swing back to the theme in a minute.
Mm-hmm. So we start out echoey. We got a sweeping kind of wheedly guitar that is very similar to what we hear in P-Broke, honestly.
I believe that similarly it is on overdrive. It's on the overdrive setting.
Yep, and it kind of flows back and forth on both sides of the stereo. It sounds like it's behind you. And then, boom, freaking boom, John and Barry pound in with drums and bass, as usual. And it's rocking. It's super, super rocking.
I think that the trifecta of the three of them in this opening is some of the strongest musicianship maybe on the album.
It's powerful.
I mean, it's just so beautifully
Yeah.
done between the three of them.
Yeah. As we've come to know and really thoroughly enjoy at this point.
John Glasscock's repeated theme of that double bass note. Dum dum. Dum dum.
It's the heartbeat in the night.
Yeah, it's the lurking danger. And then Barrymore Barlow's drum fills, which kind of pull in and out of the time signature and the meter, are really just so delightful. He does some great stuff with the toms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those, oh my gosh, yeah, the way those two, like Martin is in the back, he's sweeping and he's that higher pitch and he's kind of just flowing along on the breeze, but the way that the bass and drums synergize so well, like it is, you're right, like this is some killer playing and orchestration even.
And I feel like Martin has really been given free rein to really play around with this opener.
Yeah.
And I just love it. I love Martin all the time. I love it when he's pulled back and subtle, but I really like it when he's just like going for it and wanging on the sixth string.
Yeah. He successfully wangs here. I'm confident in saying that.
He's a man who knows how to wang.
I mean, if there's anything to say about Martin. So we start out slow for the first 2 minutes in that section, kind of the warning section, I would call it, of the lyrics, of the content.
Slow and significantly in 3/4 time.
Okay. And that 3/4 makes it feel that much more plotting, I think, because you're not getting enough beats than you're accustomed to You know, because everybody, like, it's easy to fall into 4/4, but if it's 3/4, you're expecting a little bit more, but you're not
gives
quite
it a
satisfied.
bit of a swing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives it a little bit of sass, a little bit of interesting movement.
And speaking of sass, at that about 2:10, that transition into that speedy, kind of encouraging portion of the lyrics, really rocking. Yeah.
That goes into 4/4.
Ah, right. Okay. So that additional beat in that time signature can make a heck of a difference in the speed that you feel overall. And I imagine it's not that difficult of a transition to make. It's like a prog light, right?
And I do think that the actual tempo does increase between the sections. You know, there are some definitely examples in Tull where the tempo is really consistent throughout, but you feel like one section is faster or slower because of the way that it's composed.
Okay.
This, we actually have an accelerando and then a rallentando.
Gotcha. Okay. So those pieces all together really make it feel all-encompassing and like it is driving you forward.
Yes, and it gives you that sensation because the song repeats, which I think, I know you're not a big fan of, but I think that it lends itself, it kind of goes toward the concept of what a lullaby is. Often lullabies are repeated or have repeated elements.
Okay, sure.
They cycle back on themselves. It's a cyclical thing until the little sprat falls asleep.
Yeah, there's always a refrain. You're always kind of going back and stating your thesis.
Right, which this song does.
Which, by the way, in case you forgot, Old MacDonald is the one who had that farm.
Yes. Yes, he did.
We prefer Old Rook Donald had a restaurant in our house.
Wow, as a lullaby?
Yeah.
Sounds stressful.
Yeah. Oh, no, he usually picks, like, chicken and cake.
Lots of bills to pay.
Well, no, he's the chef. It's okay. He doesn't have to worry about it.
That's right.
Also in that, when we pick up and we get faster, we've got a double vocal from Ian on there.
Yes.
It's really nice. I don't think I've ever noticed it until listening to it today, but that second one it's a little deeper, it's a little darker. It's not quite...
It's almost spoken, the second,
the
double.
Yeah, and it's not a harmony. It's not harmonic. It's like the goblin in your closet is singing it as well.
Yeah.
Come out fight with your apple in hand, thrust and parry, light.
It also gives the impression that, you know, this is something you've been told many times.
Sure, yes. You've heard your father sing it or say it to you many, many times in many iterations and many voices. And it's
now
really
that you're in the heat of battle, you're hearing it again.
Yep.
in your
It's a flashback. It's a battle montage. Yeah.
Well, and that's the cool thing with this song is that the cyclical nature and especially the key change really helps sell that idea of like the calm before the battle, the preparation, the warning, and then the battle, and then the battle's over and you have another chance to prepare and stitch up your teddy bear.
Yeah. At 4:30 we go back. We start the cycle over. It repeats the first part and then leading into the second part all over again.
Not before we have an interesting breakdown.
Sure. I always have an interesting breakdown with this song. I noticed at that second section, the second of the slow sections, the repetition, there are strings in that one. Are there strings in the first? Did you notice?
There's a lock on the window, there's a chain on the door, and the big dog in the hall.
I was questioning whether or not they were strings or organ, but I do think that they're strings.
Certainly strings in the second portion. I can't speak to the first because I didn't notice them until the second.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what John Evan is doing in this song.
Yeah.
Hiding under his piano bench, perhaps.
He may be. He's weeping about the things that his father said or did not say to him.
It's the things that your father didn't say which hurt the most.
That's true. That's true.
Barrymore's tom work when he does that dum 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 dum.
Mm-hmm.
That is a theme which is repeated on the bass, the guitar, and the drums, and Barrymore somehow uses his drums to really achieve some of those different tones, and it's just a delightful moment.
Yeah, there's like it's a playful feel, but there's also a darkness because of everything else that's going on around it. Like, this is very the darker side of a Peter Pan to me in terms of there's actual real danger here. It's not just a fantasy.
It's interesting that you bring up Peter Pan. I'm curious. That's never a connection that I made with this, but it's
not a direct, like, lifted off of the pages of J.M. Barrie's work. It's more this feeling of you being a young child are being thrust into a world where there is danger and you have to come to the realization of either you defend yourself or you become prey.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, and the original book, Peter Pan, is quite dark. There's always these little images that never quite make it into the adaptations.
Yeah,
where,
right.
Little throwaway lines where it's like, and then the Lost Boys wiped the blood off of their swords and went and had cake,
Right. The cake makes it through. Blood does not,
Right. But there is that real sense of danger. Musically, there's another thing that I want to point out, which is just the end, the way that it wraps up. It goes back into that very free-form, almost cadenza-y, back and forth kind of conversational between the guitar, the drums, and the bass. And the way that Martin ends it, I feel like he uses either a slide or maybe the whammy bar.
Okay.
Because at the end, there's just that little, he makes the note go up, and then you hear this kind of
Yeah.
and it sounds to me like he's got some kind of a slide on his guitar, but I don't know that that's present throughout the song. It'd be really interesting to find like a video of them playing this.
Yeah, that sounds whammy to me, I think.
I don't know. I think that the way that he slides the note up sounds like a slide.
That definitely, well, I mean, it could be both, couldn't it?
Welcome to our new segment, Whammy versus Slide. Choose a side, and we'll find out if you get whammied.
It's new on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So, with all that said, Nick, anything else musically that we want to point out, or shall we dive into the specifics of the lyrics?
No, I think that's good for me, unless you have anything else you want to hit. But I think we could get into lyrics.
Let's get into the lyrics. So we've already talked a little bit about the theme, but let's specificate it up a little.
Yep. It starts with a warning, with a basically, this is reality.
Keep your eyes open and prick up your ears. Rehearse your loudest cry.
Keep your eyes open and break up your ears. Rehearse your loudest cry.
And then here's something that I never actually realized until just now, that the first warning is not about beasties and dragons.
No. Yeah.
There's folk out there who
Yeah.
would do you harm.
There's folk out there who do you harm. So I sing you my lullaby.
Bandits and brigands and like all of this could be easily construed as, you're reading Grimm's fairy tales. You're reading those earlier, darker bedtime stories. So there will be bad guys, whether they're human or dragon and beastie.
Well, also in reality,
But that's just it, yeah.
not everyone you meet will have your best interest at heart. In fact, a lot of people will want to take advantage of your labor or your naivete or scam you out of money. Going back to my dad, I remember when I was moving to Chicago, just after graduating college with an arts degree.
All right.
And I was like, yay, the world is so wide and exciting. I'm going off to seek my fortune. And I remember one time he was like, look, some people that you meet are going to want to take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, but I'm too smart for that. And then,
Lo
I
and
went into
behold.
the arts industry.
Yeah, right.
But I think it is again, I just think it's an important aspect to child rearing to sort of not, you don't necessarily do someone a favor to protect them from reality entirely.
Fully sugarcoating does not help.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to play them Clockwork Orange, but just being realistic and having legitimate, realistic conversations that at whatever age they're at, they can comprehend and understand.
Right. You don't necessarily have to do the D-Sade approach, which is just like,
yeah.
Well, your 11th birthday is here. We will sit down and watch Rashomon.
Now go out and kill a deer on your own, or you don't eat. Yeah.
But, the other thing that I find fascinating about the lyrics here is like, okay, keep your eyes open, prick up your ears. There's folks out there who will do you harm, so I'll sing you a lullaby. And then, here are all the things to do. Here are all the things that I will do to protect you. There's a lock on the window. There's a chain on the door. A big dog in the hall. Speaking of the dog.
There's a lock on the window. There's a chain on the door. And the big dog in the hall.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but there's only so much I can do.
Right. All of those things may not be sufficient. There are dragons and beasties out there in the night to snatch you if you fall.
But there's dragons and beasties out there in the night to snatch you.
Which is also, it's like, as long as you're home, I will protect you.
Yes.
Once you go out into the world, if you fall off the straight and narrow path, you'll be snatched up.
That's the key. I think that's absolutely the key is thinking about him singing this to James. Like this is him saying, I will protect you, but I will also prepare you for the world.
Right, because the best protection that you can have against the dangers of the world is your own mind.
Exactly.
There's something very stoic about this. The Stoic philosophy is all centered around you cannot control outside events. All you can control is your own mind and your reaction to outside events.
Right, yeah.
And your preparedness.
So the classic caricature of a Stoic is someone who does not react. Someone who is very centered and kind of monotone and non-emotional.
Yeah, that's the perception, definitely.
But being able to remove yourself or process those emotions without letting them take you over.
That's the thing.
In a sense, you're keeping that internalized, so you, of course, are not outwardly expressing that. So it doesn't mean you're not feeling things. It just means you have more control over yourself.
Well, if you look at the dragons and beasties and folk who would do you harm, all of those kind of mythological creatures prey on fear.
Mm-hmm.
So, come out fighting with your rattle in hand, thrust and parry. I love that the rattle is the weapon of choice here.
Come out fighting with your rattle in hand, thrust and parry, light.
Velvet Mondegreen.
Yeah.
Is it a bear? Is he shaking his hair? Is it Velvet Mondegreen? I always heard it as apple.
Come out fighting with your apple in hand?
It totally sounds like apple to me.
That's funny.
I can't explain it, but it just sounds like apple to me.
Yeah. And then, this is one of my favorite lines. Light a match to catch the devil's eye.
Light a match to catch the devil's eye. Bring across the fire to the fight.
I wonder if that has some basis in folklore or some folk tale of some kind.
I wonder if it's like throwing salt over your shoulder, something like that.
It sounds like it ought to be.
But it also is very practical. Like if you are in complete darkness and you light a match, it will not only illuminate the small area around you, it'll reflect off of anything reflective like eyes.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
So it's literally, where is the devil?
Mm-hmm.
Bring a cross of fire to the fight.
Okay, so I interpreted that light a match to catch the devil's eye. If you catch someone's eye, they notice you. So that seemed a little strange to me that you would want to catch the devil's eye. But
right.
the fact of the light reflecting in their eye could be the act of catching the eye.
I think it's like know where your enemies are. But also, if you shine a bright light in the darkness, and this is, I feel like this happens in novels sometimes where somebody is being hunted in the dark or there's some kind of like confrontation and someone will close their eyes and light a match or set off a flare to blind their opponent.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit like
catch
that.
their eye. Yeah, I get it. I like it. Or in a sense, light it to catch their eye. Maybe you do want them to notice you because if you go out and confront what you know will inevitably be an issue, if you approach it on your grounds when you are prepared.
That's true.
Take
the fight to the devil.
Yeah.
That's like the old advice. If you go to hell, pick a fight with the biggest devil that you can find, lay him out, and then everyone else will be, will respect you.
All the other devils will respect you and be afraid of you.
Don't mess with him.
Yeah, you'll have your full devil posse. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Let no sleep bring false relief from the tension of the fray. I mean, gather your toys at the call to arms and bring your big bear down.
And let no sleep bring false relief from the tension of the parade. Come wake the dead with the stream of life. Give battle the ghosts that play. And gather your toys at the call to arms and swing your big bear down.
I love that he's enlisting the ranks of his toys into this fight.
Yeah, he's really hammering home that this is a very small child getting this lesson.
Also, one of my favorite lines in this that I find so incredible is, swing your big bear down upon our necks when we come to set you sleeping safe and sound. So, it's sort of like trust no one, not even us.
Yeah.
If anyone comes into your room at night, bash the heck out of them.
Right.
Even if it's us.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You can't be too sure.
Right. And this last paragraph is some of the most beautiful poetics in Tull. It really is. It's multi-layered. I love this. It says, well, we tell no lie to chase the face that cries, and little birds can't fly, so keep an open eye. It says, well, we tell no lie, so I'll sing you no lullaby.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a well we tell no lie to chase the face that cries. And little birds can't fly, so keep an open eye. It's as well we tell no lie, so I'll sing you no lullaby.
Oh, so poetic and beautiful that. It really is. And it's more of the same. It's, I'm not going to lie to you if you come crying to me. I'm not going to tell you things are okay.
Yeah.
Because you are the little bird here. You can't fly, so you have to protect yourself. You have to be head on a swivel. You got to know where everything's coming from. And I'm not going to sing you a lullaby.
We watched Bambi the other night.
Oh, my God. On purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
I, at the bequest of my wife, watched Bambi.
Okay.
And, because she had done a makeup look featuring Bambi-themed makeup, which looked amazing.
Okay.
And if you want to check out her dope looks, you can look at her at Joyalty Beauty, Instagram. But, because she did the Bambi makeup look, she wanted to watch Bambi the film. I hadn't seen it in ages. First of all, it is amazingly gorgeous. I had to keep reminding myself that, everything was hand animated.
Yeah, well, but yeah, back then, absolutely.
Because it was 1942. It was released just as the U.S. was entering the Second World War, which is kind of fascinating, the relationship of that movie to the time that it was released. But in that film, there is this theme of it starts out, everything's beautiful, everything's pretty. And then there's this real warning when the mother is like, Bambi, man is in the meadow.
Oh.
It is not safe. Here's what we have to do. And, she trains him to know how to react and that there is a real danger.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what allows Bambi to save his dear girlfriend, his doer friend.
his doe friend, yeah.
His mate, from the vicious dogs. And, there's a sense of, it's funny, I always think of Disney as everything's super pretty and flowers, but there's a real warning in that film. And the warning is that humanity is awful.
That was one of the very early Disneys, right? Like, there weren't that many
It's considered
beforehand?
the end of the golden age, the last film in the golden age of Disney films.
So they were still a little dark and grimmy, like Brothers Grimmy almost, kind of?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was the early films. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, anything else about No Lullaby?
I like the first half.
Okay.
And I do like the lyrics, reading them and talking about them. That's great. I love it.
You would just like a half pint of the song rather than the full 20-ounce.
Yeah,
pint.
can I get like the appetizer portion size?
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll pour half of the glass full of this song and mix the other with sparkling lemonade.
Okay. Yeah. We'll make a shandy. A No Lullaby shandy.
A No Lullaby shandy, yes.
What are we doing next week? Do you know off the top of your head?
Next week, I am going to take a wild stab in the dark, and I think it's Moths.
It is.
Now, I know that you are a total slut for that
I
song.
am a big moth head. I think it is one of the most beautiful Tull songs.
I like it a lot as well.
It's so gorgeous.
Until next week, you don't have to be afraid of the dark because you can illuminate the space around you with 5 brilliant golden stars, which have sharp points which you can throw at your attackers.
Rate us 5 shurikens, please.
Exactly.
You know what? You don't even have to defend yourself. For just $5 a month, we will defend you on Patreon.
That's right. You can be safe.
That is one of the bonuses that you get for being a Patreon patron, along with Talk Tull with me, Outtake Tull to me, and access to our Discord server.
Discord is really blowing up. The Discord chat is like really exciting right now.
It is poppin'.
It's like a big group chat, but filled with people that you actually want to talk to instead of, your family.
Yeah, I don't just automatically hit mark as read when a Discord pops up. I actually read it.
Yeah.
It's delightful.
It's really fun. Great discussions going on in there. Lots of recommendations for other kinds of music. Our fans are so articulate.
Yeah, lovely.
Until next week, I am the sneaking feeling of doom that is Omen Sade.
I am the hand that grips you when you step out of bed, Nick McGill.
We are the night sweats that are Feckless Momes.
And this is, what was that? Talk Tull to me.
Yeah. Ugh, I'm not feeling scary,
I hate this assignment. I hate being under James's bed.
It's rough. It's really rough. I was all set. I actually had my deployment. I was going to be in Connecticut.
What?
Oh, such easy work.
Dude.
Easy work.
Those kids are so spoiled out there.
Helicopter parents all the way. You just got to tickle them with your dark proboscis on the foot.
That's it.
Boom! Fear off the charts. Delicious.
So, be honest with me. What did you do to get stuck here in Birminghamshire?
I got too cocky. It's like, it happens to the best of us. I was like, oh, boo, I can scare anyone. Oh, yeah. And then, the department was like, okay, you know what? The reward of good work is more work. There's no good deed
right?
goes unpunished. That's what I say.
I mean, you know what? In a way, it's flattering. Like, this is a very difficult assignment. James Anderson is scarable, but it's the adult.
Have you been able to scare him?
No. His dad sits in the corner with like just a flute glistening in the moonlight.
So freaking weird, man.
He scares me.
I'm getting too old. Like, you see these claws? These are jewels, not tools. I don't know I think I'm past my prime. I think I'm too old for this.
The luster of your bristly fur is not quite what it used to be.
Just, oh my God, wait. It's that freaking rattle.
Who gives a 7-year-old a rattle?
With spikes on it.
Who gives a 7-year-old a mace?
Who gives a 7-year-old a big, sharp knife? I used to have a 6-foot tail. Now I got a 5-foot 6-inch tail.
You know, I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not. I've heard that every other monster who got stationed here never came back.
No way. That's so freaky.
I don't know if it's true or not, but wait, shh.
Oh my God.
He walked by the door. Did you see it? Did you see that shadow?
Oh my devil. You know what I'm gonna do? I gotta get out of here. I'm freaking out.
We gotta go. We gotta go and just never come back.
As soon as midnight hits, I'm gonna call the department. I'm gonna be like, look, listen to me. I can't take it anymore. Talk Tull to Me is a proud member of the Feckless Momes audio network.
I hear flute in the other room.
Oh God, it's the end.
It was an honor to work with you.